Life got hard. Motivation was gone. Discipline became my friend. I took action. My name is John, and I'm going to continue the story of when I was diagnosed with prostate cancer and how now I'm cancer-free, what that actually looked like. Because as soon as I got diagnosed, I took action. What's the next step is what I asked myself. What's the next step? Because I knew if I focused on the prostate cancer and all the bad things that can happen and all the bad things that we've always heard, it would grow and expand, and that's all I would worry about. And you don't want to stay in a negative mindset. Your family doesn't deserve that. So I had to stay positive. I am an athlete. That was my identity statement. I am an athlete. I started 75 hard, like I talked about in the last video. And even though I knew I couldn't finish, I started 75 hard. And my next step was to go see the surgeon, which I did. And when I seen the surgeon, he shared very dire circumstances that could happen. And it was a little scary. Again, my mind went to that place. But as soon as I left there, I didn't worry about it anymore because I continued my routine. I continued 75 hard. Again, like I said, I researched celebrities. I researched successful people that had prostate cancer and their positive outcomes. And a lot of them are still living and lived a long life. And a lot of people you wouldn't even know that had prostate cancer. I focused on standards over feelings. What I mean by that is I had standards in my life set up, and sometimes I didn't feel like doing things, but I did it anyway. But I would suggest if you have the same situation, don't just sit and think about it all the time. Create the routines and continue the routines. Motivation follows action. You're not going to get up and say, man, I'm not motivated today. It doesn't work that way. You got to take action. So every day I got up, I did my routine. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I worked in the morning. I went to the gym. I did 75 hard tasks every day. Again, knowing that I wouldn't finish. But that was what I needed to do. And I just kept doing that. No motivation some days. Still followed the routine. And then I always focused on the next step. What's the next step? What's one thing I can do to make this better? Because again, your family deserves that. You deserve that. And I kept thinking, I'm an athlete. How would an athlete act? And I acted in alignment with being an athlete. Don't wait, move first. Feelings follow action. That's the thing I would like to share with you today. Your feelings follow action. So if you take action, the anxiety goes away. Discipline. I want to talk about discipline. I kept the promises I made to myself. No matter how big or small. If it was on my calendar, I did it. I planned every day the night before. I call it organizing tomorrow today. I still identified the 3 most important things I had to do the next day. What's the one must? You would have never thought that I was diagnosed with prostate cancer and facing a potential surgery. And when I went to see the surgeon, again, he said, okay, we're going to set up the surgery. It's 4 to 5 hours. And I knew that was coming out in the horizon. It was March 8th of 2025. So I knew that was happening. But I wasn't going to just sit there and think about, oh my gosh, what happens if I die? I didn't think about that kind of stuff. I kept my routine. I did what I said. When tired, I still showed up. No drama, just execute. Discipline is boring, but it works. You got to stay disciplined. You got to stay consistent with your routine. People that saw me would have never known that I had prostate cancer. Decisions ahead of time. One of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to get up in the morning and say, what should I do today? Because if you're in a negative mindset, you're not going to do anything. So I pre-planned every day the night before. I had a calendar that I would follow, just like I did before I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. I didn't want to change a bunch of things. So I pre-decided everything. I refused to negotiate with myself. So when it came to the outside workout for 75 hard, I did it. I didn't negotiate with myself. One of the things I thought about, if I do 75 hard all the way up till March 8th and the date of my surgery, I'm going to be in pretty good shape. I was probably in better shape than most people have ever been in the day of my surgery. And I could tell that my surgeon was impressed. And in fact, I had the original urologist. He was actually in on the surgery also. So I decided once, then executed. Now, motivation comes and goes. I'm going to tell you something. You're not going to be motivated every single day. But you still got to stay with your plan. Stay with your routine. Discipline stays. Don't need to feel ready. Just take action. Do it long enough, everything changes. So I guess what I want to share with you today is don't let this be a death sentence for you. Because you can come out of this thing just fine, cancer-free, but you spend all that time just feeling sorry for yourself, getting unhealthy, eating like crap, drinking alcohol, all those things that add nothing to your life. So you want to focus on the things that you can do to improve your life. What's one thing I can do to make this better today? You know, and if you go into a negative mindset, just ask yourself, what's one thing I can do to make this better? And I kept doing that, and I focused on that next step. Now, if you want real discipline, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment. Make sure you like the video. And if you ask me any question, I'll answer it. The next video is going to be set on the one standard that kept me moving forward. The one standard that kept me moving forward. Go out and make it a great day.